During the pandemic, I was quite fortunate. I work an office job for an investment firm, and while I was fortunate enough to keep my job when layoffs were happening, due to the downturn in business caused by COVID-19, part of me wishes that I kind of had been let go. If anybody knows what an entry-level office job is like, it can be very monotonous and frustrating. You feel like you work very hard, and most people don't feel satisfied at the end of the day with where they're at in life, with each passing day for them becoming more and more of a blur, and when you reach the end of the day, you're exhausted to the point you don't know why you're still working there, and you're constantly desiring for something greater. For me in particular, a big part of how I recuperate from these long, seemingly endless days at my job is by watching entertaining YouTube videos from hundreds of creators that we all can enjoy. On one particular afternoon, I was watching a SuperEyePatchWolf video about a cute little anime called Aggretsuko. I had listened to what he had to say and decided to give this show a watch for myself, as his video had piqued my own interest. So I grabbed my remote, sat down, turned on the TV and ended up binging 3 seasons of this show. And in a strange way, something about Aggretsuko terrified me. No, not the death metal. Aggretsuko, for those who don't know, is an anime on Netflix about a female red panda called Retsuko living as an office worker in Tokyo, with about 3 seasons worth of episodes, along with 100 online webisodes by the mascot company Sanrio. Sanrio being most famous for the mascot Hello Kitty. And what I find interesting is that it's not just some show that's pure escapist fantasy, as a lot of anime can fall into, especially shonen animes, but instead we follow Retsuko as she goes about navigating her life that she doesn't enjoy, but instead feels completely trapped in, looking for several ways out. To help herself cope with all this stress, she spends her evenings alone in a karaoke booth, venting her frustrations away the best way she can, with aggressive death metal. That's where Aggretsuko gets its name from, aggressive Retsuko. Part of what makes this show special, for me and many others, is that our panda protagonist struggles with the same problems that I have in my own life and shares a lot of the insecurities that real world people have in their own lives. She goes to work, she tries to lose weight, she makes errors, she has relationships that don't work out. And just by watching the show, you realise how relatable everything is. From the overcrowded commute to work, to the horrible bosses, the workplace politics, and the colleagues you don't get along with.
Why haven't you answered me yet? 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 Why haven't you?
An is terrifying. And while I've never had a bad experience at work with any of these, I know via both my friends and the people of the internet that these experiences are more than commonplace. At the beginning of the show, our protagonist, Retsuko, is stuck in an entry-level job that she hates, having been stuck there for the 5 previous years, trying to deal with her own insecurities and the stress of her daily life. And that's part of the beauty of the show. Retsuko, along with the other characters that are involved in the show, are very similar to people that you and I have probably worked with at some basis on our lives. They feel like the living, real people we interact with at a daily basis. Take a character like Kabai for a second, who is the office gossiper who can't stop talking or keep a secret. In most media, she wouldn't be a likeable character, but in this show, she's shown to have a very motherly side to her, and at times, the fact that she's quite motherly is the thing that actually helps some other characters and is what the other characters need.
What do we do on that one,
It says that they bought some equipment, but the payments were late. Am I supposed to flag that as unpaid?
Very good. You're a quick learner.
She's not one note, she's flawed, but she's also layered. And at some point, you've seen the gossiper, the bully, or another number of these traits in various co-workers. You've probably been a colleague to one of these people. Or maybe you actually see some of these parts of these characters in yourself. And this makes me think, why do I keep seeing so much myself in Retsuko? While office life and working life is nothing new, and I at times have found it stressful, when compared to that of Japan, the setting of Aggretsuko, it doesn't even come close. The Japanese work life is infamous for its brutality, with some people from outside the country calling it life-threatening, with some speculating it may even be a contributing factor to Japan's decline in birth rate, as many a Japanese worker's life revolves around their careers. While the American dream The ideal a lot of us aspire to in the Western world is that you can make something of yourself by working hard, by becoming financially independent, becoming someone of significance. It's why in a lot of Western media we are interested in rags to riches stories, heroes who have grown from nothing. But in Japan, it's about being a cog in the system, and it's not uncommon to find Japanese office workers overworking themselves to the point that on average they only took around half of their entitled days off in 2018, and that they have a name for death by overworking: karoshi. Not surprisingly then, Aggretsuko serves as an allegory on corporate culture, on what office life is like, on the silent cries of many an office worker. Retsuko, like you and I, finds herself unsatisfied and depressed about being stuck in the same entry-level job she's had for the last 5 years, as she started out with an optimistic attitude that so many of us who start our careers have, only to find that in a 5-year time skip, which is actually a little brutal, she's remained stagnant with no career progression or change in sight, where she constantly has to stay later than usual, often staying late to finish not only her own work but the work of her seniors that they dump on her right before she's about to leave. She constantly fantasizes about leaving her job, either via getting married or finding a new job, but knows that realistically she can't leave as she has bills to pay. Like so many other office workers, she feels claustrophobically trapped with where she is in life, doomed to suffer from the repetition of the process over and over again in what seems to be more and more of an endless blur. And that's something that office workers around the world can see themselves in. For example, there have been times where I've felt trapped in my own situation, wondering what it would be like if I had won the lottery. And I know others who would trade an office life for something a lot better if they could. And I think we all feel like that at times. But while the show has an upbeat comedic vibe to it, I can't help but to constantly see a piece of myself in Retsuko as she tries to navigate and improve her life one piece at a time, despite feeling trapped in a situation that she absolutely hates. She doesn't really change much in the sense that she stays an office worker throughout the show, but you see the change and growth of her as a person throughout the series, and I relate to that. If my YouTube channel doesn't grow that much, and realistically, why should it? Then I'll probably spend the rest of my working life in the corporate world. And while I'm okay with that, it also terrifies me. What could I become? Will I live up to my potential? Have I made the right choice? Is this what life has planned out for me? All these questions and more all float around in the infinite abyss that is my own mind. And as I watched Aggretsuko, instead of helping me escape from that reality, it instead tried to make me think about those questions even more, as I watched someone in a similar situation to what I have actually been in. And that's why Aggretsuko is terrifying. Thank you for joining me today. This video took me a while to make, so I'd appreciate it if you could like the video just to help me out in the algorithm. I'm going to do more of these video essays in future, and these will be on whatever I want to talk about. These won't be very specific to like anime or film, these will be on whatever I feel like making. Additionally, I also make gaming videos, so if you like gaming videos that are good quality, why not give these a watch? Either way, I'd love it if you could subscribe to my channel, but it's not a necessity. I hope to see you in future. Thank you.